Well, our Tiff coverage continues now. Let's go back down to Jen outside Roy Thompson Hall at the brand new John Candy installation. Jen's out of the car and she's got the Candy family there. Hey, Jen.
Hey, Nick, thank you so much. Yes, we are live right outside of Roy Thompson Hall, and I'm with John Candy's children, Jennifer and Chris. They were, of course, there on the red carpet at the premiere of the documentary, I Like Me. So we'd like to welcome them to the show and being with us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to start by getting your reaction to being in that theater with a crowd full of people, full of stars, witnessing your father's legacy on the screen. What was that moment like watching the film? Because I know you produced it, but what kind of a different experience was it to sit there and watch it yesterday?
I think when you put a movie up in a movie theater, it has a different play that comes across, and having an audience, seeing where they laugh and seeing where they were crying. I think there was a lot of emotions that were going through the night, and I was just listening to how people were reacting to it. And I kept on looking around to see how people were looking at the film, and it was so fun to see and share that moment with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you're in the documentary, Jennifer. You're in the documentary. Your beautiful mother, Rose, is in it. And you do show a lot of emotion, especially when you talk about, you know, that difficult time in 1991 when your father was really trying to balance everything, being a new owner of the Argonauts and kind of saying yes to everything. When you look at yourself on screen going through that, what kind of went through you again as you were watching?
It was just all the emotions again. You kind of are, you know, put back into that moment of time and you just kind of relive it. And it's emotional, and it's always hard to watch yourself on TV. And I'm like, oh gosh, why did I do that? But no, it was great. And like Chris had said, it's just being in the theater, you know, in Toronto with family and friends and fans of our dads. It was absolutely amazing. And it's just such a unique experience and once in a lifetime experience that we'll never have again, and I'm so glad that we were able to all have it together.
Yeah, and when you talk about fans of your dad, I mean, the world was a fan of your dad, and so many, I mean, Hollywood A-listers, Conan O'Brien, Tom Hanks, to hear them, Bill Murray, talk so lovingly about your father, and it seemed unanimous that everyone saw him as the everyman, a good-natured person that just made you feel like you were the only one in the world when he spoke to you.
Yeah, he was that person, and you know, I experienced that, you know, being his son, but I was a little kid, you know, to watch all of those, I'm, you know, fans of Conan O'Brien's and all of those people, to see those people speak so highly of him was just, you know, gave me goosebumps. You know, I grew up watching Conan O'Brien. I was just honored to hear him say such beautiful things about him. So it means a lot.
Wow,
it
really does. Something stood out to me in the film. I think it was, Chris, when you said, speaking about John Candy's many roles out of his 30 films, you said he created for himself the father he always wanted.
Yeah.
And in the film, it gets revealed that, you know, his father passed away at a young age, 35, when he was just 5 years old.
Yeah.
And you kind of draw a lot of parallels between you and your dad.
Sure. Yeah, I think that that was an observation I had a long time ago, and this movie was an opportunity to really unpack what that is when you go through a trauma at that early of an age and what that feels like. And to see that my father had that same experience, and then it helped explain maybe who he was a little bit more and why he was the way he was. But, you know, as Colin told us when we were making the movie, this is a celebration of him. You know, it doesn't have to all be about that, but I'm glad we got to get that across in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Your father brought so much laughter. I mean, I watched him in Splash, and I was hooked. And then Home Alone, you know, when he does his little dance in front of Catherine O'Hara at the airport. I mean, it doesn't matter how big or small of a role, he just lit up the screen. He had that presence. Is there, I mean, I'm sure this is probably now your favorite movie of your dad, starring your dad, but is there another one of as many that you watch on repeat that you say, yeah, I love this?
I also love Great Outdoor. I love them all. There's just any of the family films where, you know, he's depicting like as a dad or an uncle, you know, Uncle Buck. A lot of his self comes through, you know, who he was to us, to, you know, and it comes across on the screen so prominently. And I just, Uncle Buck, Splash, Great Outdoor, all of them. They're Uncle Buck. I'm going with Uncle Buck today.
Yeah. And of course, you know, we saw Macaulay Culkin in the film talk so lovingly about your father and say how he was kind of like the only adult who kind of cared about kids when not a lot of people did at that time, right?
Yeah, I think that was what he brought to all of his jobs, and I think he looked at Macaulay as just someone he was working with, but also knew he was a little kid and needed to be treated with respect, but also more care. And how overwhelming is this for you? How are you feeling throughout this whole process? And I don't know if other people were doing it at that time, but I'm really glad that Macaulay took that away from our experience with our dad. That was just like really nice to hear and reaffirming.
Yeah, I think it was such a perfect opening film for Tiff. Your dad loved movies. He loved Toronto, Johnny Toronto. Yep. And here you are. I got to reference this vehicle. This is amazing. Right? Do you guys remember this car from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Did such a good job with this.
Yeah.
This is incredible. Look at inside of this. Like the attention to detail. I mean, it looks exactly like the Canadian mounted right there. Yeah. And then you have, I mean, the chair moving back and forth. But back here is pretty good too, if you get a look at it. We've got all the different trunks here, and yeah. Now Jen actually has the real trunk in her place.
I do have I actually have the real trunk. I use it as a entryway coffee table. But it's great. It has all our family photos on it, and for our wedding gift, we had a piece of glass made for the trunk that says the "I like me" Del Griffith. So that's a very sentimental and lovely gift, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, the trunk that we have, there is I think 5 different trunks that were made, and the Hughes family has one of them, or maybe a couple of them, but I have the one that got thrown off the car when they went through. So when they both turned into the devil and, the skeleton and all that.
That was amazing.
That's the one that I have.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite scene, Steve Martin and your dad. And then he finally says, well, I like me. My wife likes me, my coworkers like me. And it is a beautiful and a perfect title for this film. Listen, this is incredible. I'm so glad that, you made this film and got to share it with the world, because now we know so much more about the man, the legend, truly a Canadian hero, John Candy. Chris, Jennifer, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Pleasure
much.
meeting you both.
Thank you.
Congrats once again.
Take care.
All right, we're going to hand things back to you, Nick.
Jen, thanks so much. Fantastic work down there at Tiff these last couple of days. Appreciate it, Jen. Thanks.